Hey there guys, my name is Mike Munzing with Munzing Mortgage Group. Time for another video. We're in the middle of May now, summer's just around the corner. This week I'm going to cover a couple of those normal financial reports that I bring to you. The first report that I want to cover is the foreclosure report for last month, for April. Now, one of you made a comment last month that she wouldn't work with a lender who seems to exploit the foreclosure reports. I'm just trying to bring you information. Those distressed sales are critical to where we are as a society, where we are as a country, and where our business is, both locally and nationally. These foreclosures are here. They're important, and these underwater distressed homes are very important to where our future real estate sales will be. But let's jump into the foreclosure report. I put this report on my website. It is from Sean O'Toole with Foreclosure Radar. Now, as you will see, nearly all of the numbers have dropped for yet another month. And this is becoming a fairly serious issue. And Sean puts it this way: foreclosure declines would be wonderful news if they were being driven by a true market recovery, in which hundreds of thousands were no longer unable to make their mortgage payments and millions were no longer upside down. That is not the reality today. Instead, we're seeing unprecedented government intervention, I often talk about that, into the foreclosure process, leaving underwater homeowners in limbo while stealing opportunity from investors and first-time home buyers. Now for California, Sean goes on to say, California's pending litigation, which is similar to laws we previously saw enacted in Nevada, will almost certainly bring foreclosure activity to a near halt if passed. The reality is that these laws don't solve anything as they fail to address the real problem, which is negative equity. We've talked about that before. Well, instead, they punish real estate professionals, you and I, home buyers, our clients, and investors far more than the banks that they were originally aimed at. That is what I've brought up many times, is this government intervention brought as a kind of a warm, feely sensitivity to these poor, downtrodden homeowners. It's not going to address the problem, the negative equity. The more you coddle these homeowners, the more they coddle these borrowers, they're not going to clear of that home. They will effectively be handcuffed to those properties for a never-ending time period. Psychologically, that's brutal. I've seen that on a day-to-day basis. I hate when I get those phone calls saying, hey, I'm 50% underwater and I owe far more than it's worth. What can I do? You know, I have to say that it's not a strategic default if you're well underwater. You got to clear your life up and be able to move on. Let's take a look at the numbers overall for California and for Orange County and see what they look like for the month of April. Okay, as you can see in the charts above me, now these are on the report that is on my website, so you may want to pause this video and print that up and go along with me. But here in California, that first step, notice of default, now that has dropped 23.68% to a level of 17,707. That's the first step when the banks filed that initial notice. Then what happens a number of months later, they filed a notice of trustee sale. Now that tells the homeowner that their property on a certain date will be at the auction for sale. Now that also dropped 23.88% to a level of 15,035 properties. Now once that date comes up, once that foreclosure date comes, one of a number of things happen. First of all would be the potential cancellation of the foreclosure. Let's say, for instance, you renegotiated, you got a loan modification. In very rare instances, you paid your mortgage down to the point or paid up, but that is down only 3.54% for the overall state of California to 9,385 properties. Next would be if it doesn't sell at the steps, then the property will revert back to the bank. They call it back to the bank, or REO, goes into the REO process, and that was down 14.35% for the month to a level of 4,481 properties. And then finally, those investors on the steps of the courthouse, they came in and bought the properties. That was down about 2.28%, just a small drop at 3,123 properties overall in the state of California. Okay, now let's jump into Orange County and see what's happened with the foreclosures right here in our county. First is the notice of defaults, the first filing once again, and that is down 17.66% to 1,175 properties here in Orange County. Following that is a notice of trustee sale, which is down 23.08, very similar to the overall state of California, and that is exactly 1,000 properties have gone to the notice of trustee sale. Now, once that date comes along, let's find out how many were actually canceled. That's 772 properties were canceled, and that is down 6.54% from the previous month. Now back to the bank, that is down 17.39% at 190 properties that have gone back to the bank here in Orange County. And finally, one of the very few times more investors purchased than properties that went back to the bank. 201 properties were purchased at the steps of the courthouse down there in Santa Ana, and that is one of the rare numbers that was up 1.52%. Now this leads us into the next report that I want to cover, Stephen Thomas's bi-weekly housing report for Orange County here. Now it's interesting to look at that previous foreclosure report as compared to Stephen's report. He's got a little bit different take on it, and I respect Stephen tremendously. I'm just not sure in this case that he's got it quite right. He is commenting on the fact that appreciation should be coming on fairly quickly. Now, it may come on quickly because the inventory is so low, demand is down, but he absolutely expects appreciation to be coming by the end of the year. Now, as we previously talked, with all the intervention from the government on the foreclosures, that doesn't mean that folks no longer have the negative equity. It's just we keep kicking that can down the road. So some of our buyers know that there's an impending cloud somewhere off in the distance, out in the future, and it makes it a little bit troublesome. But what Stephen looks at here is that with the numbers such as they are in this current market, that a certain appreciation should definitely be coming fairly soon. Let's look from his report. Now, I want to remind you that his report is a subscription report now. You should go over to www.reportsonhousing.com, subscribe to his report. Every other week it comes out, gives you great, really deep minutia into our market for your buyers, for your sellers, goes through every city, every zip code, and really let you know what's going on at all price levels. So you'll be extremely intelligent on your marketplace. Okay, as for active listings in the inventory now, it is down over the last 2 weeks, another 3%. For the county, that is down to 5,883 properties. Can you believe it? We're down under the 6,000 property mark. Now that's dropping since June of 2011. It's been dropping consistently. At that point, we had 11,388 properties. That's almost cutting the market right in half. So the availability is really, really tight on that. Currently, our demand is down about 4%, or 144 homes that are currently in escrow. That's how he construes demand. And that takes us down to 3,848 homes that are currently in escrow as we speak. Next is the distressed market, which covers what we talked about previously. The foreclosures and short sales make up the distressed market. Now that has dropped 10% just in the last 2 weeks as far as available inventory in the distressed market. That takes us down 133 homes, down to 1,266 homes across all price ranges in Orange County currently available. So that gives us some interesting analysis between the foreclosure report and Stephen Thomas's analysis of the current market environment. You know, the shadow inventory or the upside down negative equity properties are always concerning to me, just because that is out there, and at some point there will be a reckoning, but we don't know when that's going to be. I want to touch real briefly. June 5th is coming. I'm going to keep telling you about that because it's right around the corner. I am running for the Central Committee for the Republican Party down here in South Orange County. I, a week ago, sent you an email to let you know. Maybe you can let your friends know, let your neighbors know if you live down here. Basically from Aliso, Viejo, out to Rancho Santa Margarita, down to San Clemente. And it would be an honor to continue to serve the community as I have for the last 2 years and try to do a good job with that. So watch for the flyers, let your neighbors know, hey, if on the June 5th ballot you see that Mike Munzing guy, give him a vote. I would greatly appreciate that. Hey, we're coming into a beautiful weekend. Don't forget to send your clients over to my online application. You can find that at my website at www.mikemunzing.com. Feel free to call me anytime. I would love to work with you. Get your clients approved, get them ready to go. My number is 949-689-5626. I so appreciate you. I appreciate working with you. So God bless you. God bless your family. God bless our country. Let's work together. Let's work hard. We're going to make it through. And call me anytime. Bye-bye.